This isn't the news you'd expect to see. AMC are reportedly developing a film spin-off for Norman Reedus' character, Daryl Dixon. Now when I first heard about this, I was like, oh fuck, another character gone. That was my very first thought, because that's what you would normally do. That was like 10 seconds of doubt. But take it from me, never in a million years would Daryl Dixon leave The Walking Dead without it already being finished. It's also important to remember that these actors can do other things at the exact same time. They're still a member of The Walking Dead. And you've also got to remember, it's just reportedly. AMC have not announced this. It's just like the Negan movie. I made a video about the Negan movie earlier this year. These movies are in development, but even then, they're not going to happen until years from now. And so in this video, we're going to be talking about the timeline and joining things up. What is this Daryl movie? Of course, before we begin, make sure you're subscribed, or you're like Nicholas. Don't be like Nicholas, be more like Rick. And of course, make sure you join my official Discord server. It was just created. You can join by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. I'll see you there. So, a Daryl Dixon movie. Why? Well, I think this is the simple answer as to why Judith proceeded to not tell Daryl about the possibility of Rick Grimes' survival. Like I said, we got it out first. It was the perspective of a 10-year-old. She didn't want to tell Daryl because she knew Daryl would most likely want to go and leave too. But even after, she didn't say anything about it. It wasn't even like she was holding herself back from it. She looked like she genuinely didn't know. Like she hadn't already had that conversation with Michonne about why she's actually gone. It's not the character that's keeping it, it's the writing itself. They're waiting for an exact moment for Daryl to find out, and he's going to hear it from a specific character. The moment has been prepared for. So as annoying as this scene was where Judith didn't say anything, I assure you it's because something a lot bigger is going to happen. I honestly think if Judith had told him right here, he would have still stayed with Judith because she thinks Michonne's got it. I think the thing that makes Daryl leave is the fact that Michonne is also in danger. Not necessarily because of the CRM, but because of this group that she found at the end of her final episode. This is not completely the CRM, it's more related to it. I think this is a group also connected to the CRM, but more in a way of conflict. This is a way for Michonne to almost infiltrate the CRM. So a different group, but a group that also has issues with these people. The news of this movie makes me think Daryl finding out about Rick will happen at the same time Michonne finds him. They'll be together. This Daryl Dixon movie will show us the journey on his way to Michonne and Rick. And this hasn't been spoke about as much, but there's actually rumours about a Michonne spin-off as well. And so remember what I said about AMC not really announcing these things. It's because these are just rumours on two different things that I think are the same thing. It's being rumoured that Michonne gets her own spin-off, yet Daryl gets his own spin-off movie. I think they're just the same thing. It's more likely Daryl's journey to find Rick starts with Michonne. Daryl will find Michonne and this new group first. And yes, it's possible that this newer group is related to the Fear the Walking Dead characters. In fact, it could just be them. Think about their agenda in Season 5. Helping people. Growing and getting bigger. That was an issue, in fact. There was too many characters, and there probably still will be. But after years of helping people, it's really possible after all this time, they've gathered this many people. For all we know, once Michonne goes to join them, she sees Alicia there. Or she notices Morgan there and immediately becomes friendly with this group. But the only thing turning me away from that theory is the group doesn't seem that nice. The characters we know are all about helping people, whatever the circumstance or condition. But as these two new characters made clear, they weren't going to help them. They were going to leave them behind because one of them were injured. Unless the years have changed them, that's just not something Morgan and the other characters in the group would do. Unfortunately, it just seems like another Oceanside. The group that has been affected by the CRM has conflict with them, but will probably be hesitant to fight them. Or at most, help Michonne or point her in the right direction. Either way, it's a big group that's going to play a big part. It's going to stick around for a while. And I think it's just a massive component in how Michonne will end up finding Rick, and along with Daryl. But that's what I think Daryl's movie will be. It will be him with Michonne, or at least towards the end it will be. I would like to see Daryl by himself travelling, seeing Merle flashbacks even. having Michael Rooker appear again as Merle, but it's just one of those things I just don't see a whole movie being made out of Daryl alone, regardless of the hallucinations or flashbacks that he sees. If this Daryl spin-off movie was all about him and his hallucinations, it would be like Michonne and Rick's final episode, so hopefully it's not him leaving. Like I said, I strongly doubt it is. The news of this movie could even be because the main show does end, only for it to go on as a franchise with all these movies and spin-offs, which would be really cool. So Daryl could leave after they've reached the end of the actual storyline of the show. It would continue and end in these movies. Remember, just after Rick left the show, Scott Gimple said there'd be 3 movies. It would have a sci-fi feel to it, and we'd see the return of some dead characters. It's likely the Rick Grimes movie trilogy will consist of 3 parts to the whole overall story of him being found. I think with the Daryl movie, it's an example of the dead characters making sense now. It's gonna have a lot of flashback scenes. I've always said we'd see characters like Glenn in the Rick movie, or the first Rick movie, because so many dead characters meant a lot to Rick's story, and I think if he's injured like he was in this final episode, when he's actually unconscious, I think that would be a perfect opportunity to do so. I think a lot of characters were saved for that. Stephen Yeun said he would stay away from doing things like that, but he didn't say he wouldn't. It always manages to annoy me when I see people saying, no, he said he wouldn't do this, she said she wouldn't do that. I promise you it doesn't matter. I don't care if Stephen Yeun looked into the camera and said he would never do it in a million years, he'd do it. I don't care if Andrew Lincoln said his last season was season 9, he'll come back in season 13, I'll fucking tell you. Finally, let's talk about the timeline of these movies. Well, I think it's definitely nearer to the end of the show to where we see movies like this, mainly because it's the main story the show's been following. So when I say it's nearer to the end of the show, I mean nearer to the show that we know. For example, a massive time jump could happen just like in the comics, but the show goes on with an older Judith and RJ. I think the fact we've heard rumours of a Daryl and a Michonne spin-off movie, and already knowing that we're going to see Rick Grimes again return in theatres, it's a good telling that the story that we know is coming to an end, and I think that does end with Rick Grimes. It is said though that the main show is now about building the universe, so although these movies will close Rick Grimes' story, movies and spin-offs and the main show itself could easily allow it to go on as a franchise, while still getting that big CRM storyline and still having a proper goodbye to these characters. And even saying that, I think the end result of these movies is it's going to set the stage for whatever the future of The Walking Dead could be when it carries on after the comic storyline. I don't think it would be very safe to predict now when I think these movies will come out, because there is a massive underlying idea. It's all been blueprinted out, it's all been planned, and Scott Gimple, the boss of The Walking Dead as he's known, is likely to actually be the only one to have the full idea on how it's all going to happen. And so whilst I could easily just say to you now, in 2 years we're going to see this Daryl movie, it all depends around the Rick movie. That's what people want to see. And it's by far the most important. It's the most important thing in the Walking Dead universe right now. World Beyond was made to set the stage for that, to give us the lore and information on the actual whereabouts of Rick Grimes. Of course, as you know, this isn't the community that Rick is at, it's just one of the 3. But it all revolves around Rick Grimes. This Daryl movie, this Michonne spin-off, whatever these rumours are, it's all leading to the Rick Grimes movie. World Beyond, the Daryl movie, whatever this Michonne spin-off is, even Fear the Walking Dead, even The Walking Dead, the Commonwealth storyline in the show, it's all about Rick. I wouldn't say that the show's doing better without Rick Grimes, but it's been doing good. We've had this Whisperer story arc and it's been a really good show. But whilst this has all been happening, we can't run away from the fact that this is still about Rick, secretly. We can't ignore that the CRM have taken people, or that the CRM have done bad things, and that Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond is still connecting to every single thing. Rick Grimes and the CRM is the darkness that you can't avoid. Things like Beta's Horde has been fun, but the CRM is a massive game changer. In fact, it could be a game ender. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to be all up to date on the CRM and the Rick Grimes stuff. But I want to know what you think about this Daryl movie. Were you happy with this news, or are you tired of hearing that yet another character is having their own show or their own movie? Are you worried that Daryl might leave The Walking Dead? There'll be a poll on the top right of your screen, just click or tap on that and you can vote in it. And of course, comment down below what you think. I'm actually okay with it. I'm just more concerned with the fatigue that some viewers might feel if there's constantly movies and spin-offs being pushed around everywhere, when there's already so many loose ends within the main show. I would have loved a new Daryl Dixon AAA game where you play as Daryl. There was a game on the last gen consoles where you play as Daryl Dixon and it's his backstory before we see him in Season 1. I will be talking about that on the channel sometime in the future. But yeah, a much better AAA game on the consoles of today would be really cool. I guess that's just days gone though. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you press the like button. It genuinely helps me out and will get this video more seen. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you check out these videos. Make sure you watch this video where we predict who will get Andrew's comic death in the Season 10 finale. We go through all the characters it could be and I make my final prediction. Make sure you go and watch this video to make your final prediction. It's not looking good for a certain character. And check this out where we talk about the end of Virgil's story and how Rick Grimes' story should have ended. And of course, make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to hear about The Walking Dead and the first to see my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.